Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the From the Sideline podcast with Francis and Peter's YouTube channel. This is my second and final mock draft before the NFL draft on Thursday it starts, the first round. So, super excited for that. Should be really exciting. But, yeah, I've been looking into the prospects a little deeper, seeing how the boards are falling recently, how, mock drafts are playing out recently. So, yeah, this is going to be my final mock draft. And by the way, this is kind of a mixture. Well, it's more what I think the teams are going to pick, who I think the teams are going to pick, but there may be some picks that I think I might overrule based on my opinions. So just think of that. Starting off, let's just get right into it. The first overall pick, Tennessee Titans. I'm not going to talk too much about this one. I'm going to try to keep this video short and sweet if I can. It's going to be Cam Ward. It's pretty set in stone now. I mean, it's been mocked for the past 2 months. I haven't seen a mock draft that doesn't have Cam Ward number one. I had this in my first mock draft, and then it's going to happen again. It's going to happen. Now, speaking about Cam Ward as a player, do I think he's a number one overall pick? Absolutely not. If I had to put him and Shadur and rank them in last year's draft class for the QBs, I would probably have Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, and then I would put Cam Ward. Mind you, Michael Penix was the 8th overall pick, I think, 7 or 8. So Cam Ward would be not even a top 10 pick in last year's draft class, and then I would have JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix, and then Shadur. So I would have Shadur as maybe a second rounder last year. But yeah, Cam Ward, I mean, he's clearly the best quarterback in this draft class though, and quarterback's the most important position, and the Titans desperately need some sort of restart to this franchise, and Cam Ward's that guy. I mean, we've already seen him in his live streams saying Treylon Burks and Calvin Ridley are top 4 wide receivers, and Tyjae Spears and Tony Pollard are the 2 best running backs in the league. I mean, he's clearly knows he's going to the Titans, and the Titans know they're going to take him. Everybody knows the Titans are going to take him. Number 2 overall pick, the Cleveland Browns. So last mock draft, I have them taking Shadur, and that's kind of how it looked back then. When was that? The end of the regular season? In sometime in the playoffs. But now, as it stands now, the more I watch Shadur, the more I hate him. Not hate him, hate's a strong word, but the more I dislike him as a player. And I mean, his stock is falling, and I haven't seen him going number 2 for a couple weeks now, and I completely agree. I don't think he's a number 2 overall pick player even in this draft class. I think he's probably definitely not a top 5 pick. I'll say that much. So with that being said, it's going to be either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter if they don't take Shadur. I think there's still a chance they do take Shadur, but I think Travis Hunter's the pick. For a team as desperate as the Cleveland Browns, who honestly showed signs of good offense last year with Jerry Jeudy, even Cedric Tillman looked good. Their offense showed signs, and they still have Nick Chubb. I mean, he looked terrible last year, but we know the player Nick Chubb can be, and I'm hoping that he can get back to that level. And Jerome Ford's an underrated back, but they really need some firepower. Travis Hunter, I truly believe, can be the number 1 wide receiver and cornerback in this draft class, which is absurd. 2 of the most important positions in football, and he might be the best at both of them, and most people have him as the best at both of them. He's a generational prospect, and people throw generational around a lot, but he is generational, the best prospect we've seen since I don't even know. Someone who can play both sides of the ball at 2 of the most important positions at an all-pro level is going to be so important and influential to this Cleveland Browns team if they take him, because they're desperate for cornerback and wide receiver. They have Denzel Ward, but Travis Hunter can pair very nicely with Denzel Ward, who I think is a great cornerback. There's only a handful of blue-chip prospects in this class. I would say him, Abdul Carter, Ashton Genty. That's kind of it. Maybe Mason Graham. maybe. So 3 or maybe 4 guys, and he's one of them. You got to take him if, like, he's going to be available. And between him and Abdul Carter, if they take Abdul Carter, I'm not mad, but Travis Hunter is just, you cannot pass on that kind of prospect. With that being said, third overall pick, I'm going to go Abdul Carter. I still think they could take Shadur. I've seen it a lot recently. And they could take Shadur. I mean, obviously they got Russell Wilson, but we know that's not a long-term kind of thing. And he's probably not even going to play well for them. It's a pretty weird deal. Pretty weird place to see Russell Wilson play. But could see them taking Shadur here. If I was a GM, I would say hell no. Abdul Carter on the board, though, I don't think you can pass up on him. Like I said, he's one of the only 3, maybe 4 blue chip prospects in this class. And he's not, maybe not generational, but because edge rusher is a very stacked position. But I mean, he's really good. Like, I think his floor is a Pro Bowler. Barring injury, I think his floor is a Pro Bowler. Just think about that. Someone you can guarantee is going to be great. I mean, that might be an exaggeration a little bit, but Abdul Carter is insane. I mean, if you saw the Penn State playoff games, he's genuinely carrying this team. Him and Tyler Warren are carrying this team. And Abdul Carter is an absolute game wrecker, pressuring the quarterback every single time, forcing interceptions due to his pressures, getting sacks, strip sacks, fumbles, bat downs, even dropping into coverage sometimes. He has that versatility and athleticism. He's just very poised, very technically gifted, technically sound, very athletically gifted as well. I don't see how you can pass up on him. Any team would be very lucky to have him. Number 4. Okay, this is where I kind of get a little iffy, because everything I see is Patriots going O-line, which is what I had last time. I had Kelvin Banks here. Kelvin Banks is falling for some reason. I mean, look at PFF's grade for him. They have him as the 20th prospect and the 4th best tackle. Don't really understand why. And listen, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I'll take Will Campbell because that's what I think they're going to do. I think offensive line probably is the right decision here. But in my opinion, I don't like this offensive line draft class at all. I don't understand why Will Campbell is so highly touted. I would personally have him as my tackle 4. I would have Josh Simmons as my number 1. I think he's incredible. The only thing knocking him is the ACL injury he had, which ended his season, which, I mean, is reasonable to, you know, have caution for that, I guess. But he is by far the most technically sound lineman in this draft, and really technique is like the number 1 thing as a tackle. I mean, yeah, it's good to be insanely large and athletic like Kelvin Banks and Membu, but Josh Simmons, it's not like he's small. But, well, you know who is small? Will Campbell. His arms are like weirdly short, and Josh Simmons has all the tools, and I think he's just the most refined guy. I would have Kelvin Banks next. He's huge, athletically gifted. He's a monster, prototypical size, but he's also, his hands are very refined. And then I would have Membu, and then I would have Will Campbell. And that's pushing. I might even have Gray Zabel over Will Campbell. That might be kind of hating, but my philosophy is, like I said, I don't think this lineman draft is very good. But you know what else they need is playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, wide receivers specifically. And I mean, I think this wide receiver class is pretty special, because this isn't a very good draft class, but I think the wide receivers in this class are pretty good. Like, I think the running back class is really, really good, really deep, really good. And I think the edge rushing class is also really deep and really good. But then I also have the wide receiver class right there with them. I mean, you got some great guys here. I think you could have 5 first rounders here, realistically, maybe 4, but 5 first round guys potentially. And I don't see that I don't see this kind of talent with the tackle class. So I would personally think you would get better value out of taking a receiver here or trading down. I think trading down is probably the best move, but this is a no trades mock draft. But if I were the Patriots here and I was keeping my place at 4, I would take a receiver, probably Tedero McMillan. You know, at number 4, you kind of want to go with a guy with a really high ceiling, and I think Tedero McMillan has the highest ceiling out of anyone in this class for wide receivers. with that being said, I do think they are going to take Will Campbell or a tackle. It could be Membu. I see a lot of Membu. Or I think they could trade down, but I think they will go tackle in the end. But I don't think it's the right pick to take Will Campbell at 4. But anyway, let's move on. Number 5, the Jags. I have Mason Graham. This is another pretty set in stone pick. Like every single mock draft I see is Mason Graham at 5. And I think it's for good reason. I think for sure they're gonna take defense. And I think Mason Graham is... Did I say he was a blue chip prospect? Because if I didn't, then I think I said he was a maybe, but let me change that. He is. He's special. He's probably the best interior defensive lineman prospect, should I say ever, that I've watched? Maybe ever. Like, he so explosive, so powerful, so strong, and it's just not really like anything. Like, I remember last year with Johnny Walker. Not Johnny Walker, what's his name? The guy on the Commanders that went to Illinois. Whatever his name is. I thought he was special, and I thought I had him as like my 10th overall rated prospect. Mason Graham is miles ahead of him, and the Jags, this is a great fit for them. I think they're going to go defense. I think I had them taking Will Johnson, but I think the trenches is more of a need for them. So I'm going to take Mason Graham here. 6, another pretty set in stone pick. I mean, if Genty's available here, which he probably will be, I don't really see him going top 5. The Raiders are going to take Genty. They have Pete Carroll now. Loves a lot of run game, loves play action. Ashton Genty, a blue chip prospect, one of the best running back prospects we've ever seen, one of the best historically productive seasons, college football seasons we've ever seen. Had a case for the Heisman. Probably his only knock is that he went to Boise State. But, I mean, I don't really think that's a problem. I really don't see any flaws in this game, maybe ball protection. But Ashton Genty, generational running back prospect. Not generational overall prospect, but probably generational running back prospect. And I don't really see how you can pass up on him. The Raiders desperately need a running game. I think they might have had the worst running game in the NFL last season. And their passing game wasn't anything special either. But my philosophy is they go hand in hand. You can't have a good passing game with a bad running game. We saw this with the Seahawks last year. We had a terrible running game, and our passing game consequently suffered from it, And so the Raiders, Geno, in the Seahawks situation last year knows how it feels, so they're going to go and get their running back to impact their offense tremendously. 7, the Jets. I think, I love the Justin Fields pickup. I kind of wish the Seahawks got him, but I'm happy with Sam Darnold now. I've marinated in it, and I like the pickup. But, the Jets got Justin Fields. I'm really high on Justin Fields. I think his ceiling is tremendous. I think they could go receiver here. I see a lot of Tyler Warren mocks. I'm not taking Tyler Warren at 7. I don't see why. I think Tyler Warren is incredible, but I don't see why his draft stock rose like so much. But I don't think they're going to take him at 7. I would take Armand Membu. You need to protect Justin Fields. I think their offense is already pretty good as is. Breece Hall, I'm really high on. Maybe might be just because I've had him in fantasy, but I'm really high on Breece Hall. I think he's pretty overhated on. I love Garrett Wilson. I also had him in fantasy, but I love Garrett Wilson. I think he's a top 10 wide receiver with top 5 potential, and I think he's severely underrated. And their line hasn't been good for years. They picked up Olu Fashanu last year, which I think was a great draft pick, and we'll see how he does, keeps going, but they need more O-line help for sure. I could see them going receiver here, but I really like Membu to them. Okay, here at 8, last mock I had Ted McMillan. That was more of a me pick, like what I would do, because I would kill to see Bryce Young throwing it to Tedro McMillan, because Adam Thielen is not a wide receiver 1. What are we doing? And then, I'm pretty high on Xavier Legette. I think he has a pretty high ceiling, and then they also got Jalen Coker. But there's no real wide receiver 1 there. Tedro McMillan could be that guy. They need that X receiver. Bryce Young to Tedro McMillan on the outside. That connection could be special. and it's still in play. I do think it's in play. But for some reason, his stock, Tedro McMillan's stock, is falling. I mean, clearly not for PFF. They have him ranked 3rd, but I haven't seen him mocked in like the top 10 in so long. So I'm not going to take him. Who I am going to take is Jalen Walker. I love this for the Panthers. He's an outside linebacker. You know, he could be classified as edge, but he's not, because he was a linebacker that got converted to outside linebacker. He played inside, and then he got converted to outside. So, you know, he's got great versatility and coverage, but he's also jaw-dropping tape. Like, one of the most explosive edge rushers I've ever seen. Him and Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson last year. He's my Chop Robinson of this year. I was so high on Chop Robinson last year. He played pretty well for the Dolphins, but so explosive. But Jalen Walker's just as explosive, but also like more powerful, and also can drop back in coverage, so he's more versatile. So I think his upside is tremendous. Maybe his floor is lower than some of these other edge rushers, like Mike Green and maybe like, I don't know. They all have pretty low floors but really high ceilings. A lot of potential guys in this draft. But Jalen Walker, really like him here. Could be a great key defensive player for the Carolina Panthers. They really need some kind of spark in their defense. Like, we know their defense was absolute shambles last year. Bryce Young was producing a lot on offense by himself, kind of carrying that offense, and their defense did not give him any support. So I'm going to take Jalen Walker there. So here, I hate to say it, this is where I'm going to take Shedeur Sanders. I think this is his floor for where he's going to drop. I don't see him dropping past 9, because if he falls to the Saints, they're so desperate for a quarterback after that Derek Carr news that there's no way they pass on Shedeur, who in this draft class is the QB2. And I might be overhating, because honestly, he's not that bad at times, and he also played behind the Colorado offensive line, which was so bad. So he really had no time in the pocket, and he's probably the most accurate quarterback in this class. I don't like his mechanics. I don't think his arm talent is anything special. Definitely not top 10. Like, Michael Penix was top 10, and he's an absolute gunslinger who can rip the ball. Jaden Daniels, we saw him, offensive rookie of the year, took his team to the playoffs from 3-win season the year before. Drake May, special player, man. Even to turn that Patriots franchise around. And the Caleb Williams, we know, generational prospect. Shedeur Sanders is nothing compared to them. Nothing. I hate Bo Nix, especially as a prospect at Oregon. I hate Bo Nix, and I would take him over Shedeur Sanders. But with that being said, I do think his floor is number 9 here, because the Saints are that desperate. Like, I could see him being taken 2, 3. Raiders could take him. Jets could honestly take him. Probably not, though. And then I think the Saints would ultimately be the last team that I could see him falling past. I don't want to do it, but it has to be done. And honestly, they kind of need it. So, but they could just wait for the second round. Probably not, though. Shedeur Sanders is, like, if you think Shedeur Sanders is bad, then wait till you get to the second round quarterbacks. That is not fun to watch. Okay, moving on to 10, the Chicago Bears. I think this could be a really fun pick. If Genti drops to them, that's a match made in heaven for Ben Johnson. I think that would be an absolute dream situation. I don't think he's falling past the Raiders, though. So what are we going to do here? You know what I think is in play is Omarion Hampton. They have him ranked 25th prospect. I haven't really seen him mocked that high. But, you know, we saw Jahmyr Gibbs a couple years ago being taken, 12th overall to the Lions? To Ben Johnson, actually. So Ben Johnson has done this before, taking a running back really high, who, you know, kind of goes under the radar for going that high, is not expected to go that high, and then turns them into an absolute monster. And I think Omarion Hampton has that absolute upside to be a monster in the NFL. Super high on him. I think he's going to be a great running back in the NFL for whatever team gets him. So Omarion Hampton definitely in play here. I'm kind of debating between him. You know what? Ben Johnson could cook up with Tyler Warren. You know what? I'm going to take Tyler Warren. I was just not talking very great about him, but Tyler Warren is a pretty special prospect. He's a strange prospect, though, because, you know, he kind of did everything for the Penn State offense. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Like, he played tight end, obviously, was used as a great blocker, was played on the outside, was actually played in the backfield and took snaps at Wildcat, which you don't see from a tight end. That's crazy. He literally just carried the offense on his back. So Ben Johnson could do a lot of tricky stuff with him. And, they already have Cole Kmet, but it doesn't hurt to have two tight ends. There's a lot of personnel that requires that. And he honestly probably will be better than Cole Kmet. And this Chicago Bears offense is exciting. I'm going to love to see how it evolves, especially with Ben Johnson now. I mean, they got Caleb Williams last year, generational prospect. DJ Moore, one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. Rome Odunze, UW guy, my wide receiver 2 coming out of last year's class. He's going to be special. Mark my words, he's going to be special. And then adding Tyler Warren into that, it would be pretty fun to watch that, and I think it's totally in play here. I think it'd be him, Omarion Hampton, or maybe I don't know, probably an offensive lineman, maybe. Speaking of offensive linemen, actually, well, because I always think the 49ers are going to take linemen here, which I think they should. Their offensive line is terrible, and Brock Purdy sucks. He's not going to be good with a bad offensive line. So they probably should take offensive line here. Kelvin Banks on the board, Josh Simmons. But I don't know why Will Johnson's stock is falling so far. He's clearly I always forget about Travis Hunter, but besides Travis Hunter, he's my cornerback 1 by far. Don't know why Jahdae Barron is rising so much. Will Johnson is almost a blue. Oh, you know who else is a blue chip prospect? Is Malachi Starks. Forgot about that. Sorry. His stock is kind of falling too. But Will Johnson is he's not blue chip, but he's so technically sound, and his floor is so high to me. I think he's at worst a cornerback 1 for a team, starting corner that is impacting the defense at all times. Will Johnson is a lockdown cornerback, and I don't know why Jahdae Barron is rising so high, but Will Johnson's still on the board. But I probably will ultimately end up going tackle here, and I'm going to go with Josh Simmons. I think like I said, he's my tackle 1. As a division rival, I hope they don't get him, because if he fell to the Seahawks, that'd be great if we took him. But I'm going to have them taking Josh Simmons here. They need a tackle. It's him or Kelvin Banks, realistically. And I think they probably would like Josh Simmons more because he's more NFL ready. Moving on, the Cowboys at 12. There's quite a few gaps in their roster, if I'm being honest. But for me, what I really think they need is a receiver to play alongside CeeDee Lamb. That offense was once really great, and it's kind of just fallen off. Their defense was kind of pretty banged up last year, so I don't know if they could go edge rusher here, or somewhere in the trenches, interior defensive line, front 7, something. But I do think they're going to go receiver because they need that firepower on offense. Dak's coming back. We don't know how good he's going to be. And their receiver core is pretty bad. Pretty bad. You can't just have CeeDee Lamb. You can't just have one guy. So who do I think they're going to take here? I think they're going to take Matthew Golden. Speedy guy. He's super speedy. He went under the radar kind of the whole season. Was kind of shadowed by Isaiah Bond. But clearly he's overtaken him. Where's Isaiah Bond on this? Man. Wait, no, I definitely missed him. I didn't. Oh my god, 141. He was being mocked in the first round like a month ago. Jesus Christ. He's like the wide receiver 15, like 20. That's insane. I don't know how he fell so far. But Matthew Golden was kind of shadowed by him. And just by watching tape, people obviously have seen how great he can be. I think I wouldn't say low floor, like pretty mid floor, but I think his ceiling is super high. He's a big play guy. His body control and his movement is so fluid and smooth. It's just so like satisfying watching his tape. I really like Matthew Golden. If he fell to the Seahawks, I would take him without a blink of an eye. Him and Josh Simmons are probably the two guys that I'd want the most. Josh Simmons, Matthew Golden. But sadly, they go back-to-back 11 and 12 for me. And I think the Cowboys can utilize him pretty well. I think it could be a lot of guys, though. I think they could go Luther Burden, Ted McMillan, or Matthew Golden here. I don't know. It's kind of really a toss-up. I'm not in the front office for the Dallas Cowboys, so I can't really tell. But anyway, 13, the Dolphins. I think I had them taking Luther Burden last time because Tyreek Hill's out. But you know who else is out? Jalen Ramsey. And you know who else has fallen this far? Will Johnson. I think this is a match made in heaven. I mean, you couldn't script it any better. Will Johnson is, like I said, I don't want to talk too much about him because I already did, but he's a phenomenal prospect at the cornerback position. He's absolutely locked down. I think he could be one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. He's probably the best cornerback prospect I've seen the past couple of years. He's really that good. Him and Travis Hunter. You have two special cornerback prospects in this draft, and Will Johnson's one of them. We could go O-line here. Kelvin Banks. I think Will Johnson is going to be a much more impactful pick here. 14, the Colts. Because normally I would have Tyler Warren here, but he's off. So I will take Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland is probably my tight end one in this draft. I don't know if he's underrated, but he's incredible. I mean, he's more of a true tight end than Tyler Warren. You know, like I said, Tyler Warren's more strange, more odd, and kind of more versatile. I think it's also, this is a very small factor, but I think a factor of it is that he wears number 44, which is just really strange. But Colston Loveland is so phenomenal, and it's so fun to watch him play. I think he's going to be a great tight end in this league as well. I think he has a really high ceiling and a really low floor. I think he has good prototypical size. I think his hands are phenomenal and his movement, and I think his blocking goes under the radar as well. So I think the Colts will be really happy to take Colston Loveland here at 14. 15, I think it's edge all the way for the Falcons. Their pass rush is like bottom 5, and pass rush is one of the most important parts of the game for me. You know, you have to have good blocking, you have to have good quarterback play, and you have to have a good pass rush. Those are my three main things, the keys to success. The question is, who is it going to be? Which edge rusher is it going to be? Is it going to be Mike Green, who I think is the best edge rusher in this class besides Abdul Carter? He's really good. If he fell to the Seahawks, I would not be mad if we took him. I would be pretty ecstatic. You know what? Some big news that TJ Watt could be coming to the Hawks. We're second in betting odds to have him, so we'll see about that. But I don't think he's going to leave the Steelers. But is it going to be Mike Green or... at 15, this high of a pick, Donovan Ezeraku, I still don't really know how to pronounce the last name, but he's risen really recently, and I don't really see it. I don't think he's that elite. I wouldn't have him over James Pierce or Shamar Stewart. I think I said this in the last one, but I don't like Nick Swartzen at all. I don't think he's a first-round pick. Michael Williams, I don't know why he's dropping. His athleticism and measurable traits are insane, and his upside is incredible. So I don't know why he's down there. But I'm going to take Mike Green. He's just really good. And I don't think any of these guys are worth a top 15 pick. Mike Green is. I think he could go a lot higher as well. I could see him going to the Panthers. I could see him going anywhere here because, I've said this a lot, but edge rusher is that important. You can never have too many. So edge rusher is always in play when you're drafting. 16 Cardinals. This is kind of a funky pick. They could go a lot of different ways here. They could go interior offensive line. I think Tyler Booker's for sure in play here. I also think interior defensive line is in play. So kind of the trenches here. And another guy who I don't know why is so highly touted by PFF, like the 8th best prospect. That's a little insane to me. Former 5-star though, Walter Nolan. I'm gonna take him. I do think he's the best interior defensive lineman in this class. I'm not that high on Kenneth Grant. I'd really like Derek Harmon. I like Derek Harmon a lot. I don't think Kenneth Grant's that good though. Walter Nolan, I do think deserves the hype. He's really good. Could help the Cardinals in the trenches in their pass rush. They kind of need a lot of stuff, so they could go a lot of different directions here. Like I said, would not be surprised with a Tyler Booker pick here, or even Jahdae Barron here. I think they could be in play. 17, the Bengals. This is a tricky spot. Normally it's offensive line, but their offensive line has been improving. You know, that's kind of the Bengals thing, having a bad offensive line. But nowadays, it's their defensive line and their pass rush that's kind of like their front seven that's been really bad. So I think that's going to be the pick for them. Now, like I said, Kenneth Grant I don't like him that much, so I'm not going to take him here. I think edge rusher's in play for sure. James Pierce is in play for sure. Shamar Stewart's in play for sure. I'm really high on Shamar Stewart. Not a lot of production, but dude, he is athletic. And he's probably the most, like, he has the best measurable traits out of anyone in this class, meaning like fastest, most athletic, strongest, all that. And he performed well at the Senior Bowl, which I think is a really good sign for if you're going to perform well in the NFL. I'm actually going to take Jahad Campbell. His stock has been rising a lot, and I was high on him before he was rising. Weird flex, but Jahad Campbell, probably there's Jalen Walker, but I was going to say he's the best linebacker prospect in this class, but probably second. He's really, really good. I mean, I think he's going to need some development, but, you know, that's pretty standard for a prospect, especially a linebacker. But he could impact this defense in a lot of different ways, and linebacker is a very slept-on position, maybe the most underrated position in the NFL, because, you know, they kind of survey the whole field and they communicate with the defense, and Jahad Campbell's really good at communication. He's a good leader, super athletic, great at coverage and also downhill speed, and his tackling is very sound, so I really like Jahad Campbell here. Okay. 18th pick, my Seattle Seahawks on the board. I mean, this is a pretty good scenario for the Seahawks here. Tedro McMillan's dropped to us. Luther Burden's dropped to us. Kelvin Banks has dropped to us. James Pierce has dropped to us. Gray Zabel. The world is our oyster at this point. Okay, I'm going to kind of take the wheel here. And as a diehard Seahawks fan, this is who I would want to take, who I would want us to take. It's Tedro McMillan. I'm just going to pick him. Tedro McMillan. I've seen this mocked a lot, so it's very much in play. Tedro McMillan, Matthew Golden, I've seen both of them mocked to the Seahawks quite a few times, and I would be ecstatic if we got them. Because as we know, John Schneider's pretty vocal about not investing much in the offensive line, specifically the interior, which ironically is the biggest hole in our roster. And so it's kind of not a coincidence that he doesn't invest in the offensive line. And then as a consequence, our offensive line isn't good, specifically the interior. So I would be happy with a Tyler Booker pick, with a Gray Zabel pick. I think they're both phenomenal. I've seen a lot of Gray Zabel. But the thing is, I don't think Gray Zabel is worth the 18th overall pick here. I mean, a first-round pick, a mid-first round pick for Gray Zabel, I'm not buying it. Tedro McMillan is, like I said, the highest upside receiver in this draft. All the physical tools, best hands in the class in my opinion, biggest catch radius. I think his route running's a little lackluster, but, you know, it's decent. I compare him a lot to DK coming into the league, because DK's route running was pretty subpar coming into the league, but the speed and size, actually Tedro McMillan's speed isn't insane, but it's still really good for his size, and his size is tremendous. And the Seahawks, we got Cooper Kupp. Still can't believe that, by the way. Wow, I mean, what a pickup by John Schneider. But we got Cooper Kupp, and then we also have JSN, and then we have MVS and Jake Bobo. But, you know, JSN, this is a stat for percent of snaps played in the slot, JSN was ranked number 1 in the NFL, and Cooper Kupp was ranked 15. So those are two pretty obviously slot guys, right? So if two slot guys who are top wide receivers and two of the best in the league at that, JSN fringe top 10, Cooper Kupp, pretty solidified offensive player of the year, top 10 guy. We don't have an outside guy though. MVS cannot be our outside guy. Tedro McMillan can be our outside guy. Paired up with both of those elite receivers, imagine how scary our passing game would be. And yeah, our offensive line needs to be good in order for that to happen, but that would be a pretty special offense to watch. That being said, I wouldn't be disappointed with a Tyler Booker, Gray Zabel pick. But if Tedro McMillan's on the board at this moment, at 18, how can you pass on him? I mean, he was mocked top 5 not too long ago, and he's still ranked the 3rd overall prospect for PFF. So that's saying something. A 300-yard game. I mean, the production was unreal. I think he could be special. Love that pick for us. Okay, moving on. Buccaneers. I think it's going to be pass rusher. They're losing a lot of guys. You know, they're aging linebackers. They still have Vita Vea in the trenches. But, and then they have Kalijah Kancey, who I think was a great pick by them. But it's probably going to be edge rusher here. Probably just anything on defense. I think it could be Jahdae Barron. It could be. They lost Carlton Davis. I think I am going to go with edge here, though. I don't know, because also I think underratedly, like Malachi Starks or Nick Warrior is in play here. But I am going to go edge, and I'm going to take Michael Williams. I think they're going to bank on his upside. I love this pick for them. Peter's really big on Michael Williams. He likes him a lot. I'm not as big, but I know a lot of GMs are. And I know a lot of, analysts are. And for good reason. I mean, I can see he has all the physical traits. He's really special. Huge upside. 20, the Broncos. I mean, personally, I think Ekbuka would be a great pick for them, or even Burden. But I think Ekbuka more because of how much they run like play action and run the ball with Bo Nix. And slot receivers are really important for, that play action passing game. I mean, Luther Burden's also slot, but Ekbuka's more like mid-route slot, and Luther Burden's more vertical, more like screens and like, big play stuff. But Ekbuka's more of like the short pass, just like easy catches. So I think him and Bo Nix could create a really special connection. I think it could be Burden, and also I think it could be Amarin Hampton. He's dropping a lot here. I think he's going to go higher than where I'm going to take him probably, but I mean, I'm just going to keep rolling. So, crazy pick alert here. The Steelers. I think they'd love to have Shadur drop to them, and I could see it happening, but I think there's a less than 5% chance he drops to the Steelers. Like I said, I think his max floor is the Saints. So, what do they do here? Well, they just got Aaron Rodgers. Right, and man, I mean, they have DK now. They have George Pickens and DK paired up together. They still have Najee Harris, Jalen Warren. So I mean, that offense could be really, really good, right? But we know Aaron Rodgers. He's past his prime. He's aging. He's gonna retire soon. So who do they take? They take the Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart at 21. Yeah, I know it's a little crazy, but with how bad this quarterback draft class is, and there's only a few guys that are worthy of being picked. Like, all these guys could go undrafted for all I care, except Will Howard. I think he could be pretty good, but all these guys suck. I mean, and it's so sad that DJ Uiagalelei is the last ranked quarterback after being a 5-star number 2 overall ranked prospect, going to Clemson. I mean, that is just a sad fall off. But Jackson Dart, I like him. A lot of people don't like him. A lot of people don't like him at all. Like, I think PFF had him after, I think they had him here. So, like, their QB 6. But I think he's good. I think I don't like him more than Shooter, but I do think it's a competition, and I think there's a debate there to be had, and I think he could be developed pretty well with the Steelers organization. And we've seen this before with Kenny Pickett taking quarterback. They took him at like 18, 19, something like that. So a late first-round pick taking quarterbacks, not too out of play for the Steelers here. So Jackson Dart is my pick there. 22, the Chargers. I think Colston Loveland is the guy they're hoping to fall to them. I think he's too special of a prospect to fall all the way to 22. With that being said, I do think they need a playmaker alongside Ladd McConkey. Quentin Johnston project did not work out. I mean, he still has time, obviously, but, dude, he sucks. So I'm going to take a Luther Burden. I think Justin Herbert would be ecstatic to hear that Luther Burden was drafted to his offense. I'm super high on Luther Burden. I think he's quickly become the most underrated wide receiver in this class. Like, going into the last season, he was the number one receiver in the draft. Number one receiver prospect in the class. And he's slowly fallen to, like, 4. Some people don't even have him in their top 5s. I do think I would have Travis Hunter, Matthew Golden, Tedder McMillan, and then Luther Burden. So he'd be wide receiver 4. But I think his upside is probably 2. I would have, for ceilings, I would have McMillan, then Burden, then Travis Hunter, then Matthew Golden. Ooh, that's tough though. I'm gonna have to sit on that one. But Luther Burden, super high on him. 4.29 40. You don't see that every day. I mean, he is fast and speed kills. He's also strong, like strong as hell. Like he has comps to Deebo Samuel, and I see it. And I'm not a big Deebo guy, so I think it's not disrespectful because Deebo's a Pro Bowl wide receiver, but I don't think Deebo's good. But Luther Burden, I think, could be a better Deebo because I think he's faster than Deebo, and he might be stronger too. So, and I don't know, he's just super electric, and it's gonna be fun to watch him. I think he's gonna be a great receiver in the NFL. Just his production last year kind of knocked him down. So the Packers here, I don't really think receivers in play. Look at the receivers on the board. You're not taking these guys. My friend Ethan's a Packers fan. He told me it's probably pass rusher or cornerback. And Jahdae Barron's still on the board. So if cornerback's one of your needs, then Jahdae Barron, you can't pass up on him there. PFF has him as their 7th best prospect. I don't have him that high, but I do think he's really good. So I think Packers fans would be happy to get Jahdae Barron at 23. The Vikings, this is where I'm going to have the Marion Hampton dropping stop. I think I had him to the Vikings in my last one too. He's too special to drop this far. I'd honestly be surprised if he drops 24. But that's just kind of how my mock draft worked out. Yeah, I think the Vikings really need a running back. Aaron Jones isn't kind of a long-term guy. J.J. McCarthy's going to need help. They're probably going to run a lot of RPO-style offense. So, I'm not, like, they lost Sam Darnold, their offense. I'm not a big J.J. McCarthy guy, so I don't really know how it's going to affect their offense. But adding Omar Hampton would be huge, huge impact. You know, he can kind of start playing behind Aaron Jones at first and then quickly become the RB1. I think he could easily become better than Ashton Genty in the NFL. And that's saying a lot because Ashton Genty's a generational running back prospect. Texans at 25. I think it's linemen all the way through. And I still have Kelvin Banks on the board. If Kelvin Banks drops to them, I think they'd snap at the chance to get him. I mean, I think that's a match made in heaven. CJ Stroud, I think they had the worst offensive line, or bottom 2 last year. And CJ Stroud, I love CJ Stroud. I think he's a great quarterback. I think he had a down season, sophomore slump last year. But he's going to bounce back. He just had a bad O-line. I mean, they have a great receiver core. They have a great quarterback. All they need, great running back. They just need a good O-line. Kelvin Banks can be their star tackle. Because they lost Laramie Tunsil, did they not? So they need another blindside guy, another key guy to have there at tackle. 26, the Rams. This is an interesting pick. I think their pass rush is pretty good. I think their secondary is really shambles. Let's look at the cornerbacks on the board. I'm probably going to take cornerback here. See, I would take Benjamin Morrison, but I don't think he's going to go in the first round. I love Benjamin Morrison. I have him over Jahdae Barron. I have him as my cornerback 3 behind Travis Hunter and Will Johnson. I think he's so good. It's kind of similar situation to Josh Simmons. Season-ending injury kind of dropped his stock, but I think he's really good. It's between these two for me, Benjamin Morrison and Maxwell Hairston. And Maxwell Hairston is like, his stock is purely off of his combine results, his 40-yard dash. What do you run, a 4.2 something? I think they're gonna, I think they'd probably take him over Benjamin Morrison just because of his athleticism and upside. Okay. I mean, if Malachi Starks drops to the Ravens, that's just bad news for everybody. He's a blue chip prospect, the best safety prospect I've seen since, funnily, Kyle Hamilton, who is also a safety for the Ravens. So, he could play kind of everywhere for them. He could also play like a little nickel, a little strong safety. Kyle Hamilton kind of shows him the ropes, and he did the same thing in his rookie season, kind of playing everywhere. And we see how special Kyle Hamilton is, so that would be scary to see the Ravens defense have both of those guys. Malachi Starks, just safety being such an underappreciated position, but like honestly reasonably, because safety it's pretty not unimportant, but compared to the other positions, it's just not as of a pressing need. But Malachi Starks is so good of a prospect that I don't really think you can pass up on him. Like, if I was a GM, I would take him a lot higher because I think that's how special he is. But I'm not, and I think he will drop because he is a safety. But I think as a late first round pick, taking a safety is not bad at all, especially if it's Malachi Starks. So they wouldn't bat an eye, I think, here if they had Malachi Starks on the board. The Lions, I think it's because I think they have one of a top 3 most complete roster in the NFL, the Lions. And my philosophy is, if you have a really complete roster, you add more pass rushers. So let's go to the edges here. They have Donovan, whatever. Ooh, this is interesting here. I think James Pierce is the pick. I'm not gonna think too much about it. James Pierce was the number 1 overall projected pick at the start of the season. His stock has fallen, but I think his upside is still there for sure. I think he's going to be a great edge rusher in the NFL. I think the Lions would be very, very happy to have James Pierce on the board here. The Commanders. The Commanders is interesting. I think running back is in play here. Dylan Sampson, Caleb Johnson, maybe even Travion Henderson. Don't know why they have Scadaboo so high, but whatever. I think edge is in play here for sure. This is tough. I think guards in play here for sure too. This is a really tough spot for them, and let's just think about the Commanders last season. It's probably going to be O-line here, right? And I think they would love to get Tyler Booker. I think he's by far the best interior offensive lineman in this draft. He should be rated a lot higher on PFF, in my opinion. Really high on Tyler Booker. They need interior offensive lineman help. Tyler Booker might not even fall this far. So I think they'd love to get him here. The Bills have a lot of defensive. It's going to be defense. And they have a lot of problems. They just got Tre'Davious White back. So I don't think they'll take cornerback. They honestly could, though, because their secondary is pretty bad. Donovan still on the board here. But you know what? I'm gonna go with Shamar Stewart. I'm super high on Shamar Stewart. Like I said, he's probably the most physically gifted player or edge rusher in this class. I love him. I love him here to the Bills too. You know, they got Von Miller out the door probably soon. And who else do they have? Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I think I love him. I love him a lot. But besides him, it's really nothing. So I think they really need to get pass rusher and Shamar Stewart. Dropping 30 is honestly, I think, insane. But I think that's how the cookie's going to crumble. The Chiefs, I think I had this last time too. Josh Connerly here, but I love this fit. Local guy, Rainier Beach. Really high on him as well. I think he's super underrated. I would have him I might have him over Will Campbell, to be honest. I think physically he's just a lot better. Will Campbell's probably a lot more refined, though. But yeah, I think the Chiefs would love to have him. Eagles, send it off here with a good pick. Edge rusher, I think, is going to be the play. They have the most complete roster in the NFL, and I don't think it's that close. Like I said, you have a complete roster, you get a pass rusher. Which one is it going to be, though? Probably Donovan. Yeah. Donovan's stock is rising. Jim seemed to love him. So yeah, that's my complete first round. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell, Mason Graham, Ashton Genty, Armand Membu, Jalen Walker, Shadir Sanders, Tyler Warren, Josh Simmons, Matthew Golden, Will Johnson, Colson Loveland, Mike Green, Walter Nolan, Jahad Campbell, Tedro McMillan, Michael Williams, Emeka Egbuka, Jackson Dart, Luther Burden, Jade Barron, Amarin Hampton, Kelvin Banks, Knoxville Harrison, Malachi Starks, James Pierce, Tyler Booker, Shamar Stewart, Josh Conley Jr., and Donovan Ezeuruaku. So yeah, guys, that's my mock draft. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. And check out new TikTok account from the Sideline Pod on TikTok. No videos uploaded yet, but I will be making some stuff pre-draft. Gonna have some Seahawks stuff on there. Probably some scouting reports. Yeah, scouting reports. Or like, I'm gonna make videos watching film and kind of like scouting reports on the prospects in this draft. Sorry, started blinking there. But yeah, make sure to go follow this podcast linked in the bio. The TikTok, IG is from the Sideline. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and like, subscribe, notification bell. Thank you.